Hey everybody, welcome to Goose's Wrestling Pod. Andrew Lee, how are you?
I'm good, Ray. How are you doing?
You know,
Still alive?
I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm alive, unlike Sabu. And
Jesus. My God. My
you know
goodness.
what though? You know what though? I think it's okay to make inappropriate jokes about Sabu's death because apparently he didn't care what happened to him and he would have wanted it this way and it's great that he was actually murdered by GCW is actually what he wanted. And according to all the wrestlers, we're not, you're not supposed to care that this guy fell on his head 3 weeks ago and is now dead. And I don't mean to be so callous, but like it's been a week of caring and the rest like Rob Van Dam is saying like if you are upset about GCW, you're stupid. I'm like, all right, bro, then why don't you go to fucking XPW and have someone like hit you over the head with a fucking 2x4 16 times? Because it doesn't matter. You got it's fine. That doesn't do anything to anybody. So I don't know. How do you feel about Sabu dying?
He was 61. That's really young. That's too young, in my opinion. It's too young. Yeah, it's just way too young for someone to pass away like that. I've already told you, but I'll say it here. I have no problem saying it. GCW, that match with GCW in GCW played a part in his death. If you do not think that had anything to do with his health and his cause of leading to his death, you are in denial, and you are in denial because you don't want to admit that you enjoyed watching it. You can admit that you enjoyed watching it, but also acknowledge that that was probably not good to do. Okay, because it wasn't. It wasn't good to do. Especially if he was all drugged up, which they have admitted to. So it's awful that that happened. I really wish he didn't do that match because he probably would still be alive. So that's my opinion on it. But whatever. He's
It,
hardcore, guys. He's hardcore. GCW is a unique, original. Nobody else is like GCW except for ECW that they're stealing their ideas from.
I'll tell you this. So there's a lot of fans on the internet. They like to sit there and they like to go WWE bad. They cry and they moan. When Zelina Vega was fired, they cried. When they fired Gigi Dolan, they cried. Everything WWE does is bad. And in the grand scheme of things, Gigi Dolan being fired, she'll be okay. Maybe she'll find a better career. It's not the end of the world. But here, where it's actually the end of the world, his world, Sabu, where people they took advantage of an old man. They put his life in danger. We're supposed to just be like, whatever. And if you care about it, if you like actually say the truth, which is this match shouldn't have happened. Joey Janela is a selfish fucking buffoon. And all the, by the way, I'm going to say this: all the wrestlers defending it are also selfish buffoons because you want to know what? A lot of people made money on Ric Flair's last match. He could have died. A lot of people made money on Sabu's last match. He died. If these motherfuckers can get Hulk Hogan in the ring to have him fucking fight Too Cold Scorpio an exploding death match at the Garden, they'll do it because it's gonna. My point is they want to keep doing shit like this, which is why they're gonna say that GCW match was great because they want to drag out. Like I said, if you don't think if GCW get Hulk Hogan to fucking walk out there, you don't think they're not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? You don't think Rob Van Dam's not going to be in the undercard? Hulk Hogan really wants to do this, bro. I'm so happy for him. So they can all fucking make their money off t-shirts and shit. That's why they're defending this. They're not defending this because this is what Sabu wanted. They're defending this because this industry is filled with bottom feeding scumbags, including the guy who just died. It's a horrible industry. They're disgusting human beings. And my cousin's calling me. And I can't take this phone call. But
Go ahead. Go answer your cousin. Just pause this shit.
no, because then this gets all messed up. I can't tell because then I'm not editing this. So my cousin called me to be like, actually, I killed Sabu. Here's the other thing: if Sabu didn't die because of this match, why hasn't the family put out? And again, maybe it's going to come out. Why? I was. even if he did like he 86th himself, I still think it's because of he had brain damage from that match. It's just like, bro, like what the industry did to Sabu was so fucking scummy, including Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman built his career on this guy's corpse, and you know I want to be positive and stuff, but last night on RVD's live stream with Taz, he said the family has a GoFundMe. They just started it, and the family's goal is pretty realistic. I think 25,000, right?
Mhm.
Considering the fact that Sabu has influenced so many millionaires and billionaires, including your best friend Tony Khan, um, you would figure the 25 grand would be covered in about an hour, right? Bro, it's been 24 hours, only up to 9 grand. If all these motherfuckers, why isn't Joey Janela fucking taking his money from his Taco Bell shift and giving it to Sabu's family? All these, it's all performative. It's all performative. It's all bullshit. I feel bad for Sabu. He should have became the Sultan. He should have been dancing with Dude Love. He'd still be alive. He'd be fucking next to Triple H in the back with Bruce Pritchard telling Candice LeRae she's a cunt. I mean, I don't know, bro. I just it's
He
a
should have
it's a
been the Sultan. He should have taken up the Sultan.
yeah.
That's Sabu's fault. That's Sabu missed the boat. That's Sabu. That's on Sabu.
That is on Sabu. But I'm just saying, like, this is Paul Heyman could pay for this guy's funeral without losing a dollar. Vince McMahon could pay for this guy. Tony Khan could just be like, take that down. Here's 25K.
You
Here's
know
20.
what though? Like, why was Sabu working for him when he owed him that much money too? That's kind of on Sabu.
Who? Paul Heyman?
No, that's on Sabu. Yeah, if Paul Heyman owed him
Paul,
that much, he's still working without getting paid. I would. That's on
no,
Sabu.
Sabu, when he owed him that much money, Sabu left because the contract was null and void, went to WCW. Kevin Sullivan, so he owes him all this money. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go work somewhere else. He goes to WCW. Kevin Sullivan's gonna. This is when Vince Russo's gone. So Russo's gone. This is between the Russo tenures, right? Kevin Sullivan's gonna sign him to a really great deal, and he's gonna be featured as part of the new regime. And Heyman blocked it, saying he still has a contract. And Sabu calls up Heyman and goes, "My contract's no longer. You're not paying. You're not following my contract." And Sabu just couldn't get him into court to get out of it. And by the time Sabu kept trying. WCW's out of business. ECW's out of business. And when you're bankrupt, you don't have to pay anybody, so it's null and void. So Sabu had to stick to the Indies.
Mm.
So Heyman could have been like, "You're right. I owe you all this money. Go to WCW, make your money." Heyman blocked it. But what are you gonna do? Keep slamming your head into the ground for Heyman and keep building up the debt? You know why Heyman declared bankruptcy? He didn't have to pay any of his debts, and then he went and worked for Vince McMahon, and now he's with Seth Rollins and CM Punk, and half these guys are dead.
The ultimate finesser, that Paul Heyman.
Dude,
Ultimate.
I think when it's all said and done, when the facts are laid bare 50 years from now, I think Heyman is probably a worse human being than Vince and Bischoff. I really do.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
He's worse than Bischoff. Bischoff pays his debts. I mean, come on.
I mean, I don't think Bischoff's a bad person per se. Like did anything really shitty. I just think
He's an
uh
idiot.
he's an idiot. I just think he's an idiot. That's
You're
what
a
that's not.
Republican.
So that doesn't count. Like okay, Bischoff. I put Eric Bischoff and I put Vince Russo in the same category in the sense that they're not actually like terrible human beings, right? They're just idiots who probably did wrestling the industry as a general more harm, but they still talk like they're the godsend to wrestling. That's all they are. They're idiots. Junior, I really believe he paid off people to get
Yeah, he's a
Jimmy
person.
Snuka off from killing somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like he's actually done some real shitty things. I believe Junior did know about little boys getting fucking touched by Pat Patterson, and he fucking looked the
Mel,
other way.
Mel
What?
Phillips. Forget Mel Phillips. He also
And
touched it.
Mel Phillips, yeah, exactly. This is where I think Junior is actually a real bad person. I believe the Janelle Grant story. I don't think that's fucking fake. I think
Oh,
that's
I
real.
believe it too. But
Yeah, so I think Junior is a real scumbag. He's a real piece of shit, you know?
but I do think I will also say that if you are not paying someone and you're making them do horrible things, which I think what Sabu did is pretty horrible for his entire life. And then they have a chance to go make money because they can't pay their bills, and then you actively prevent them. You leave them in a state of limbo where Sabu's only option is to fucking work at Taco Bell. I think that you're a giant piece of shit. It's bad. And listen, I can't pay you. I promise you all this money. I can't give it to you. Yeah, go get money. Do what you can. Fucking suck cock and get your money. If I'm also you can't make money, I'm not paying you, but you can't make money. I'm a fucking loser, bro.
Loser. All right.
Speaking of losers,
Speaking of
speaking
losers,
of the times, let's talk about this fucking show.
you
This
know
thing,
who's a loser? It's fucking Vader because this was supposed to be his pay-per-view, but because he couldn't he wasn't up to snuff. Like, this was supposed to be his pay-per-view. They
that's
had
what
originally set up its time because they had scheduled it so that by the time Vader got to this pay-per-view, he's like in the main event and stuff, right? Champion and everything. But that's why it was called It's Time. It's Vader's catchphrase. But Vader was not performing the way he should have been, you know? So that's why he's the loser in this.
dude. I'll tell you who's the loser. The people who bought this pay per view when it was on the air. This feels like a house show, man. Did you like think about the number of like stars that are not wrestling on this show? No, Shawn Michaels doesn't wrestle. Steve Austin doesn't wrestle. Vader doesn't wrestle. Rocky doesn't wrestle. Mankind doesn't
Rocky's not
wrestle.
a star at this point. Rocky's not a star at this point.
But I'm just saying, like the number of people you could have had on this show compared to who you have, it's like fucking sad.
They have Bret. Bret's on it, you know.
You know,
Champion's on it, you know.
Vince only showcases Bret when there's nobody else around. You know that. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and when Bret was champion, he was fucking like he wasn't even the main event. He was like middling. You know, remember all those Bret Hart pay-per-views we watched where he's not even in the main event. It's ridiculous, you know? And yeah, that's true. But yeah, this is if you pay for this and how many people did pay for this? Not a lot of people did, Ray. So a lot of people were not idiots, actually. So you'll be
Um,
surprised how few people were idiots and paying
can I
for
let
it.
me ask you a question?
Yeah,
What's the buy rates from this compared to Starcade?
very good question. I don't. Oh, it's a killing, by the way. So I will go over the buy rates and stuff. Okay. So this in your house, it's time had 5,708 people in attendance, right? Pay-per-view buys did not even hit 100,000. It was 97,000 buys. So not even 100. These are like TNA numbers, right? 97,000 pay-per-view buys or like around there. It's pretty shitty. Now, this is how bad in your houses are going, okay? In your house, the 10th one, which is Mind Games, right? It had 120,000 pay-per-view buys, 13,000 people in attendance. Buried Alive, which is the in your house right before this one, had not like over 9,000 people in attendance, 100,000 pay-per-view buys. So if you're keeping track per in your house, the numbers keep going down, not attendance and pay-per-view buys, right?
Mhm.
Now, in Your House, It's Time takes place December 15th, 1996. WCW, they're going to have their December pay per view, Starcade, on the 29th.
Mhm.
345,000 pay per view buys.
Oh,
Like nearly
oh,
tripled.
oh,
Nearly tripled. Awful.
oh. I think Vince knew I can't compete with Roddy
Starcade.
Piper.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Because the whole show also is like, oh, but there'll be a better match at the Royal Rumble. So, dude, that is insane. That
Yeah.
is that is proof. You know what? I've always heard, and Meltzer was saying what great business Piper Hogan did. I kind of expected like a little bit higher. That is an insane number for
Yeah.
for
97,000 to 345,000. That's a huge difference, you know?
Do you think Vince was like, "Why the fuck did I give up a Hogan Piper this fast?" When he saw these numbers?
Yeah. I don't think he will admit to it. I bet you he admitted it to like maybe Bruce Pritchard, but to everybody else, he no sold it, I think. But I can tell when he was by himself, he knew he fucked up 100%. Yeah. Dude, how
When
could
they
you not? How could you
Piper,
not? Vince McMahon Jr., he's an asshole, but he's not stupid, right? He's
Mhm.
not stupid. He understands numbers. And if you look at the numbers, how can you not think I made a mistake letting those guys go? He knows. He just can't say it up publicly, you
Can
know?
you imagine nowadays? I mean, there's really no pay-per-view buys, but let's say like ratings wise, like that difference between AEW and WWE. Like, my God, like fucking Dave Meltzer would just come all over his pants if he split. That is an insane beating,
That
but
is huge.
it's well deserved. It's well deserved. Um, they just don't. 96 was necessary. It was a rebuilding year. He's getting the pieces in place that will eventually turn him into a billionaire, and lead to where we are today. But man, like if WCW just kept it together, he'd be selling fucking used cars, Vince McMahon.
Yeah. In a way, I think 1996, the year was of it was a year that needed to happen
Yeah.
for Vince Jr. to like get like it was almost like a wake up call or
Mhm.
like like it was a very necessary year. It was a bad year for him, but sometimes you need those bad years to get your ass kicked to fucking, wake the fuck up. So, what a way to end the year. This is the last pay-per-view you're doing in a disastrous year and it's like the hardest kick you're getting for the year, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like if you could summarize one year in a pay-per-view comparison, this would be it, that your competitor is now outdrawing you 3 times the amount, right? That's embarrassing. It's like
I,
you got egg on your face in that point.
you know what I think also, but like I think the lesson to learn from 96 and 97, especially when it comes to three people, actually, not just two, three people. I'm talking about Mankind, The Rock, and Austin, is patience, especially with Austin. Because I think nowadays, a lot of people see the rings aren't moving. We got to lower Austin down the card. And they did it. They kept it steady and steady and steady. And then by the time you get to when he won the belt at WrestleMania 14, you do like they never lost track. They never panicked. They never lost patience with the Austin build and even with the Rock build. And I feel like nowadays they would be like, "Fuck it, the ratings aren't going up. Let's move Austin down the card. Let's try the Patriot." Like they just panic. And here it was like, nope, nope, and look what happened, dude. The whole world changed. And I that's a lesson for Tony Khan. Like when the Acclaim was on fire, I think you should have done whatever you could to make these guys main eventers, and you just have patience with it. And you build and you build and you build and you let the audience know these people aren't going to go anywhere. They're only going to go up. And I think by now you'd have a very different AEW. But he let internet feedback get to him, and now these two guys mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing, and they never will.
Yeah, and I mean, the things like mistakes that he's making, like for example, like bringing in if you're bringing in Sasha Banks and you're like, all right, well, Sammy Guevara, now I'm putting you on Ring of Honor because of this. Like that is a mistake. That was a guy you were building up, and now you've relegated to Ring of Honor just to keep this ex WWE talent happy. I would have been like, I'm giving you all this money. He is also on the show. You got to deal with it. That's called work. Some of your coworkers you like, some of them you don't. You got to just deal with it. If you don't want
Or
to be,
cut him and
if
fire
you
him.
don't want to be here with him, you don't have to get paid what I'm paying you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who the fuck goes into work and be like, "Hey, boss, I don't like this person. Uh, get this person out of here."
But
That's not how
listen,
it works. That's not how work works.
I get it, but if you, let's say, if you really want to sign somebody like CM Punk, right? And someone who ultimately means nothing, might cause problems, Colt Cabana, you just get rid of Colt Cabana. Because
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
that's not Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara was the guy you were showcasing, you were building, and he's young. And instead of continuing to nurture him, you've relegated him to a tag team with Dustin Rhodes and Ring of Honor, and nobody's seen of him almost for like a year. That's stupid. That's like, what are you doing? Like guys like Sammy Guevara are the future. Sasha Banks, no, she's great, but she's already older now. Like she already put her prime in WWE. Her prime years were in WWE. She's on the way down. Sammy's still young. Like what are you doing? These are the same. See, this is why the first chance Sammy gets where he can leave, I bet you he will. This is what happened with like Ricky Starks. It's like because Edge had a problem with Ricky Starks, he put Ricky Starks in the back burner. It's like, dude, Edge is old already when it comes to wrestling. Ricky Starks is still young. Like your upsides with that. Can you imagine if like you have like a sports team and like you have a young prospect who you see a lot of potential in, and you're just like benching him or sidelining him because the aging quarterback has a problem with him? It's like, what are you
well,
doing?
it's the solution. Tony Khan doesn't want to have confrontations. Tony Khan doesn't want to have these conversations. The easy solution is to put his head in the sand and have Sammy Guevara wrestle on Thursdays while the other woman's on Tuesdays. That's the because he can't handle having conversations with his employees. So
Yeah,
you know,
but
I'm, we'll
to his credit, he still did a better job than Eric Bischoff at the end of the day.
well, we'll figure it out. But
Hey,
but
they're
listen,
still in business. They've lasted longer than
no,
Nitro WCW.
no, they didn't last longer because WCW was around since the 80s. That's all one company. Eric Bishop only had it at the end, so we'll see.
Yeah, so he did it better than Eric Bischoff's time. Dude, I will
Eric,
say this.
Eric didn't have control the last year. The last year's where they lost the most money. He had no say.
So
You can't compare Eric Bischoff to Tony Khan. Tony Khan, it's all his money. Tony Khan has all the decision powers. Nobody can remove Tony Khan. Fucking Dean Malenko can't get annoyed by Tony Khan and go complain to somebody and get him removed. That could happen to Eric Bischoff. So you can't compare. Like it's apples and oranges.
that's fair. That's fair. But however, in my opinion, I still think Tony Khan's better than Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff's a fucking idiot.
He is
He's
an
an
idiot.
idiot.
We'll talk about
Anyways,
this next week.
yeah, we'll talk about that. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll give him one thing. 1990s. Actually, never mind. Okay, we'll get into it later. Let's talk about In Your House. It's time. The sharpshooter versus the power bomb. That's how they're tagging it. Let me ask you, Ray. Which move do you like better in general, sharpshooter or power bomb?
Oh, power bomb. The
Power
visual.
bomb.
Yeah, come on.
Absolutely, dude. I'm a big Bret Hart fan, but powerbomb is so much more cool. It's the cooler move, definitely.
Sometimes when Bret would put it on, or even The Rock, it feels like they're taking a dump.
Yeah,
They-
it looks like they're taking a dump. I I've had that facial sitting on the toilet before. Um, so its time takes place December 15th, 1996 in West Palm Beach, Florida. Already went over the attendance, a little over 5,000, 97,000 pay-per-view buys. We get an intro graphic opening of Bret Hart saying he wants that WWF belt back. He wants it back. And this has been brought to us by the Karate Fighters. Remember the Karate Fighters? What was that? A video game? What was it? Action figures? What were these things?
they were this horrible. I don't know. It was like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. You know those? It was the same thing.
Oh,
Kicks.
oh, okay. I thought there was a video game, but yeah, you're probably right. It was like a board game kind of. Yeah, it was like Rock and Rock stuff. Yeah.
The '97 Raws, Jim Cornette and Sable have a feud in Karate Fighters. And they play, and headbangers are the referees. I swear to God, that's like a.
Oh my gosh, I gotta look that up. Uh, so anyway, on commentary, we got our usual three suspects. We got Jim Ross, Jerry King Lawler, and Vince Jr. And we're gonna go right into our first match. It is a newly heel former New Rocker, Leif
Well,
Cassidy.
the New Rockers were always heels, Oos.
Yeah, they were always heels, but he's more heelish.
But
Can I say like
he's
that?
he's more angrier because he's on his own, but he was always a heel.
Yeah, yeah. Leif Cassidy more angry. He's got the full Al Snow facial look going on, and Leif Cassidy is going up against Flash Funk, who comes out with his funkettes, and they dance. They dance to the ring, and they
The damn
dance to ringside. They start dancing with Vince Jr. He starts dancing, and Jim Ross looks at it with disgust. He's like, "Ugh." Like, the look of
Jim Ross
disgust.
is something really funny. I didn't come here to dance. I came here to call a wrestling match, and I wish Vince said that. People think dancing's more dignified than calling wrestling matches, right? You fucking
Yeah,
idiots.
I just thought it was really funny how he looks at him. He's just like, "Ugh."
Yeah, that was good.
It was good. It was pretty funny. I will give Vince Jr. credit that he's always up for, like, hey, make me look like an idiot. Like, I'll entertain folks at my own expense. Like, he's always, up for that, and
Yeah,
that's cool. All right, so these guys are wrestling. Flash Funk, Too Cold Scorpio. I do like him, but every once in a while, he's a little sloppy, right? Like he's not crisp in everything he does. So he does this thing where he tries to go up the turnbuckles and he messes up, but he just goes and he does his moves anyway. Leaf Cassidy, he does his great belly to belly suplex where he throws Flash Funk from the ring to the floor. That could have been devastating. That's crazy. A belly to belly from the fucking ring to the floor. That's an insane move. You don't even see stuff like that now, you
no.
know? Yeah, but the way Funk took it, he took it very safely. Like he landed like on his feet first or some shit like that. But it was
Uh,
great, great.
Flashy Funk. By the way, I thought did a great job. My problem with Smash is Al Snow could not keep up with him.
Um, it's not all out. No, I mean like Funk fucked up that buckle thing spot. It
Yeah,
wasn't out. It
then
wasn't.
but then Al Snow wasn't in place to help him. But
Yeah. So what do you call it? No, I mean, I thought Leaf Cassidy. Maybe we feel differently because Leaf Cassidy, I felt like was on par with Flash Funk. Remember when he throws in the belly belly? Leaf Cassidy does his own springboard somersault plancha to Funk on the outside. Like that was a good move he did. You know?
okay, yeah, all right. I just thought like Funk every now and then he wasn't in the right place for Flash Funk to be funky. You know?
Maybe there's this there's this funny spot where like so Flash Funk he's supposed to be kind of goofy, so he's like breakdance fighting. Like he'll dance a little bit and then he'll punch or kick you or whatever, right? And then Leaf Cassidy hits him with this huge like sit out carb. I'm just like, fucking eat this, right? I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Flash Funk does a dive onto Leaf on the floor, and in the ring they start trading. Pinfalls, and then Flash Funk hits his 450 top rope splash to win the match. Afterwards, they play Flash Funk's music and they show all these like awkward white people dancing in the ring in the crowd. I thought this was a good opening match. Me personally, I thought both did very well. I gave it a B. It's not a bad opening match. It's pretty good. I think it's a good way to start the show. I like
Uh,
it.
I could, I could clearly tell, and they won't admit this. You put a gun to Bruce Pritchard's head, he won't admit this. I could clearly tell this was them trying to emulate the Dean Malenko Rey Mysterio formula by having like two supposed great workers put on a clinic, start the show. You know,
Yeah,
I
I
just
feel that.
felt
I could.
that these guys, it was fine. I mean, it's fine, but I kind of thought like they didn't have the chemistry that Junior probably wanted them to have.
Yeah, but it's also Al Snow is not a Dean Malenko, and Flash Funk is not Rey Mysterio. In the
No, I know,
sense,
but this is the best they got right now.
yeah, this is the best they have, and that's why it's not gonna be as good as WCW. It's unfortunately like they're not on that same level. Neither guy's on that same level.
They're not Flash Funky.
Yeah. So, but it's a worthy effort though. Good effort. I still give them credit for that.
Me too.
So after this, we have Kevin Kelly in the back, and he's with Owen Hart, he's with Davey Boy Smith, he's with Clarence Mason, and they're talking about the lack of focus that they have in this team, which they get offended by. And Davey Boy Smith is like, no, it's not. I'm not losing my focus. I'm. Steve Austin's not bothering me because Davey's got problems with Steve Austin, and he's like, no, Austin, I got problems with, but I'm not losing my focus on him. I'm gonna be paying attention to this tag team match we have coming up right now. That's what they're saying, and we're gonna go to our tag team matchup. We got Fake Diesel, Fake Razor Ramon versus Davey Boy Smith and the Owen Hart, the tag team champions with Clarence Mason. There is a fan in the crowd that's got a big Owen Hart fan sign that's filled with glitter. I was like, Owen's got one fan in, in the crowd. That was a good sign. That was a good sign they made for Owen. I really like that. Diesel and Owen, they start the match, and then during this match, Cibernetico and Perut from AAA come out. They came out to let everybody know, hey guys, 20 years from now, WWE is gonna buy AAA. The reason why they're out is because they're going to be involved in the Royal Rumble. And like Ray mentioned, there's a lot of like Royal Rumble hype throughout this show. Like even after the Flash Funk match, we got like a hype video for the Royal Rumble. And even this, when they come out, they're like, oh, these two guys are going to be in the Royal Rumble. Like, so you're right. In a sense, this is like a go home, like a SmackDown episode, like hyping up the next pay-per-view, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you know why there's two reasons why they had all the AAA guys in the Rumble. Number one was they needed people in the because the roster was sucked. So they needed body. But number two was Vince got the Alamo Dome and he was gonna fill it no matter what, just to say I can still fill a dome. I mean, they were selling, if you got a combo in the area at Subways, you got a ticket to the Rumble. You got a free ticket to the Rumble. You got like a combo. So they were using them to promote, hopefully get some Latino heat, some Mexican fans out in that area.
Great. You get a sandwich, bag of chips, and a fucking ticket to a fucking WrestleMania. I mean, a Royal Rumble. What a great deal. What an amazing deal.
Dude, I wish we knew. I wish we known. I would have drove us to Texas back then.
Yeah, I know, right? Just for the Subway sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he needed bodies for the Rumble. He couldn't call Tony Rumble. Tony Rumble wasn't available.
Well, he wanted bodies that he thought could draw even like two people.
Yeah, Tony Rumble. So, anyways, after the AAA guys come out, Austin comes out. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out, and he walks around the ringside. And as soon as Davey sees him, Davey Boy Smith leaves the ring and starts attacking Stone Cold from behind. They start fighting outside the floor, and officials have to come out and break it up. The match continues after this, and Owen Hart is getting beat on by Fake Razor Ramon and Fake Diesel. Fans start chanting, Diesel sucks. Fans don't like these fake characters. I don't like them either. But now that you told me that it was like Vince Jr.'s lawyer's idea, I understand why, because they're in a lawsuit and all that. So I get why these guys are here.
I mean, I get why they're here. They shouldn't be on pay-per-view. I mean, I'll tell you another people on the show, the Godwins. Where are the Godwins? Why can't they be here in this match?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Maybe it's because they've done that match too many times already.
Maybe at the house show circuit. Yeah, but bro, fucking Furnace and LaFon. I mean, these guys should have been on pay-per-view dressed as Razor and Diesel. It just shouldn't. All it reminds you of is that, man, I should be watching WCW.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Davey Boy Smith, he makes the hot tag and he starts cleaning house. Everyone starts brawling, and then Davey and Owen, they go over the top. I'm sorry, Diesel and Owen, they go over the top rope to the floor. Fake Razor sets up the Razor's Edge on, but Owen comes in. He's setting up for the Razor's Edge. He's got like Davey Boy Smith like in his crotch. When Owen Hart comes back in and hits the spinning heel kick, and then Davey covers Razor Ramon to win the match. after this match, Jim Ross is like super mad at the referee, going like, "Whoa, whatever! Like everybody was in the ring at the same time. How was that fair? How was that fair?" And then Austin, as Davey Boy Smith is celebrating the ring, he comes in and he fucking like chop blocks Davey's left knee and attacks him, and then runs and then leaves Davey laying there with his knee hurt. Even though I don't like fake Razor and fake Diesel, this was not a bad match. I didn't think it was a bad match, and as far as wrestling goes, I gave it a B. It's dude, fake Diesel is Kane. Kane's a good wrestler. I mean, these gimmicks suck, but it was a good match. Where if
I
you
think
look
the
at it from
problem.
the wrestling standpoint, it's not bad. It's B.
Well, but I think the problem is the crowd doesn't care about any of this. Uh, it's heels versus heels. It's people in a gimmick that is like, if you don't know the legal, if you don't have Bruce Prichard explaining it to you on a podcast, you're just like, why are they doing this? This is horrible, right? And the other thing is, even though people pop for Austin, he's a heel too. It's heel, 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 heel. And it's not interesting. By the way, I have a theory. I have a theory when we get to the main event about the original plan for WrestleMania 13, because they clearly have pivoted Austin away from Bret by this show. I'll tell you what my theory is. It's something no one's ever said before, but I have a theory of how 13 was supposed to go. But let's keep going.
Okay. So after this, we go to the back in the AOL chat room, and a nation of domination have taken over this chat room, and they're just like dictating what to write. During this point, Jared King Lawler asks Jim Ross, can you spell domination? I thought that was really funny.
We gotta give a shout out to Jim Ross. He just got announced that GCW gave him colon cancer.
Yeah,
So
Joey Janela's lips were too far up JR's butt. That's why.
get ref, come on, get out of here. But no, I feel bad. That's going to be a rough time for poor JR.
Yeah. Hoping he gets better quickly. I hope the surgery goes smoothly. So Vince Jr. he's in the ring and he welcomes back Ahmed Johnson. So Ahmed Johnson comes here. It's gonna be Farouk versus Ahmed at Royal Rumble. So another hype for Royal Rumble. And Ahmed Johnson says this injury that Farouk gave me cost me everything. It cost me my girlfriend. It cost me my car.
Why would it cost him his girlfriend?
I don't know, dude. This was when he was saying this stuff, I kind of like didn't understand some of it. I was like, he said it cost him his girlfriend. I'm assuming maybe because she didn't want to take care of him and they got in a fight. And I know it cost him money because he said it cost him his car and it cost him his house.
That I understand, but why would your girlfriend leave you? Like, that's the moment.
Now he's broke. Because now he's broke and she was a gold digger.
If I was Farouk, I'd be like, well, then I did you a favor because now you know you
exactly. Farouk did him a favor because he exposed his girlfriend, right?
Yeah. So why are you mad at me?
Exactly. So Ahmed's like, oh man, he cost me all this, and he goes, Farouk, you made me feel pain. Now you will feel the pain. Your life it ended a long time ago, and everything. And he goes, I'm sorry. Ahmed Johnson goes, my life ended a long time ago. I don't have anything else. I only live for the fans. The fans is all I have. You know, that's the thing about Ahmed Johnson. He might be an asshole and he might be a fucking idiot, but he understands, like, if you listen to all his promos, he's always trying to connect with the fans, which is very smart. You know, that's why he was so popular. He was always doing this I'm doing it for the fans. Like, he's trying to connect with them and stuff. And they fucking like that shit, you know?
I mean, the thing about it is, with Ahmed, when my best friend Ahmed Johnson is, he had something. I do kind of think the worst thing they did with him was have with Farouk so long, because he can't go with Farouk on the mic. And I think
I disagree.
What?
Keep going.
And I think that they didn't have good chemistry in the ring, but they kept shoving him with Farouk. And it's like, the only reason you keep shoving him with Farouk is you both are black, you know?
Yeah. I think I will agree with you that one of the worst things they did was keep Ahmed with Farouk in such a long engagement. They really shouldn't have done that. I agree, because I think ultimately their real life tensions fuck Ahmed Johnson up more than anything,
Good.
right? If Ahmed's difficult to work with, you put him with somebody else, right? Don't put him with Farouk, who will fucking kick his ass and make him look like shit, right?
Yeah.
Now, as far as his promos keeping up with Farouk, I will disagree with you on that. And I'll explain why in this next segment. So, as Ahmed's cutting a promo in the ring, all of a sudden the Nation of Domination theme hits, and PG-13, JC Ice, and Wolfie D, they start rapping, and they're in the crowd rapping with the rest of the Nation of Domination. Farouk is there, and Farouk cuts a promo on Ahmed Johnson, and this shit was all over the place. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. This was not a good promo.
I
Farouk
like
had a what was his promo? What was he saying? I can't recall a single thing he was saying.
all he really should have said was white people should burn in hell, and then
But he
but
didn't. He was like all over the place with this promo. It was not a good promo.
I just like the visual of it, bro. I know it wasn't the greatest promo, but you're right. He should have said less. You know what I
Yeah,
think?
he should have said less. He said a lot, and none of it connected. It was just it
I
was
think the problem with the original Nation was I think Vince didn't want it to seem like the Nation of Islam, so he has a white guy and the Puerto Rican guy's not there, but it's a white guy with him. But
I like that visual. Dude, actually, in my opinion, I like this early Nation of Domination. You know why? Because it's like the role reversal. Like the big muscle is a white guy. It's like a white biker guy. Like that just looks cool.
Look had better chemistry with D'Lo and Godfather and The Rock. So
Yeah, but I like this whole idea of Farouk having his whole entourage of black militant guys in suits, a
and white.
big biker guy who's like his muscle, and two white rappers. Like visually, that looks kind of cool. It
Yeah,
just
the
like
visual is cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you're saying
visually it looks
it's not
amazing.
a promo, but I like the idea behind the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, because it actually also makes Farouk stand out more too,
Mm.
because he's like the only like main black guy. You
But
know what I'm
also,
saying?
like when they cut promos on one another, like somebody can't say like you can't because that's what happens when Russo takes over. Every promo is a white guy calling Farouk racist, or because you can't call Farouk racist because he has white people in it. So
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Crush never says anything.
yeah,
He's like a Wardlow. He just stands in the back looking scary, and he's huge. That's it. And I like that. I like that because like, dude, there's plenty of times we've seen in movies and TV shows where there's a guy and the big muscle behind him is like a silent black guy, right? And we're gonna see it pretty soon, Mr. Hughes, and we see it in wrestling all the time too. But this is like the role reversal. In this case, the muscle is a big, quiet white guy, for a black guy, which I like. And even PG-13, besides the rapping the theme, they never say anything.
mm-hmm.
Right? And I like that. It's just like the only one who's speaking is Farouk, and everyone just stands there. It visually looks good.
By
I like it better.
but
In my opinion, I actually like it better than when it's a group of four wrestlers because it
by the way,
makes Farouk look better.
well, yeah. But I like the chemistry of the '98 Nation. By the way, really quick, somebody said this that the drum beat from this song slowly morphs into the Rock's theme song as the Nation and the Rock. And then I found a YouTube video where it starts with the Nation theme and then it goes through all of the Rock's different themes from '98 to today. And it's right. So the drum beat, they just add like a little extra thing when it becomes more the Rock's theme. But basically it's the same it's this it's just the theme keeps evolving from this but to the current final boss theme, which I thought is pretty cool.
Amazing. Yeah. And you know what? The Nation of Domination theme was fucking dope as shit too.
Oh,
You
it's
know?
so good. It's so good. But yeah, they just add like a little bit. Jim Johnson. This is why Jim Johnson's the best.
Yeah, he
I don't
is the best. He's the best.
think this is garbage in AEW.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he just keeps evolving this theme into something where the crowd, because this is a very mellow theme, and then now people when you hear the Rock's theme song, you stop what you're doing. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if you're having sex with Liv Morgan. You stop what you're doing. You pay attention. And that's because of Jim Johnson, Daddy.
Yeah. So after Farouk's terrible promo, the only thing saved it was Ahmed Johnson getting back in the mic and he starts a "You're going down" chant. You're going down. You know what it reminded me of? Feed me more. I was like, feed me more. That's what it reminded me of. But
Bring back going down.
yeah,
Someone should bring back that chant. I liked it.
yeah, no, that was a good chant. People got into it. You're going down, you know. So after this, we got another feud. We got the Hunter Helmsley and Mark Merrill feud recap, and it's set to like a knockoff of Enya's music, which is very weird. I was like, why are they having this Enya music?
It's a in-house Jim Johnson song.
No, but why are you setting? Yeah, I understand it. Like Jim Johnson made a knockoff Enya song, but why are you using an Enya like theme kind of thing? Why are you for this feud? It's weird.
In Vince's mind, it's
Yeah, it's just weird. It makes no sense. But anyway, in this feud recap, you see how Mr. Perfect betrayed Mark Merrill so that Hunter gets the Intercontinental title. And then we also see Hunter kicking out Mr. Perfect, basically saying, I've used you, now you're done. And this is where Mr. Perfect will leave WWF. He left in early November. So this pay-per-view is taking place like basically less than a month after Mr. Perfect.
he left it right after the October pay-per-view, so it's been 2 months.
Oh, okay. No, I
Mhm.
see. Yeah, okay.
Well,
So,
he no shows and he has like a talks with Vince, and then he just winds up not coming back, and that was in November. But he pretty much is done like after there's the Raw after Buried Alive. So
yeah, okay. So let's go into our third match. Is for the Intercontinental title. It is Wildman Mark Merrill with Sable versus the champion Hunter Helmsley, who's got a new theme song. What do you call
Ode,
it? What?
Ode to Joy.
Yes. And these two guys face off. They go nose to nose, and the commentary team makes a lot of jokes about Triple H's nose in this point. He does have a huge nose.
Yeah, he
I
does. And when he was
I
skinny, he it out more.
I wonder if that's why he's so insecure.
There's a lot of reasons he's insecure.
Yeah, because no, he's very insecure, and I wonder if it's because like when he was a kid, it's not like his nose is big only as an adult. His nose was big even when he was a kid, and you know he probably got made fun of a lot, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he probably um still carries a lot of that insecurity, and that's why he's so like that. Maybe even that, you know. So hey, so if you're listening and you're to this and you're a kid, don't bully because if you bully someone, we're gonna be having to pay with that shit for fucking later on when they become adults. Like what happened with Elon Musk and fucking you know that guy Vivek, that Indian dude who fucking acts like he's not Indian.
Who Levesque? Paul Levesque?
No, no, not Paul Levesque. Vivek, you know that guy? He was like supporting Donald Trump, and originally him and Elon were co-heads, and then they kicked Vivek out.
Yeah.
You know the reason why he's so like Republican is when he was a kid, he got bullied by black kids a lot, and
Mm.
he because of that he's ever since then he's all fucked up, you know, and he helped fucked over America because of that shit. So, moral of the story is stop bullying, guys. Anyway, we gotta get to this match. Merrill and Hunter, they have some kind of miscommunication early on, but they get it back together. And basically, Hunter gets dumped over the top rope to the floor, and then Mark Merrill tries to fight him, but he gets whipped into the steps, and then Hunter takes over and starts taking advantage, and he gets back into the ring, but there's like not a lot of heat. So what he starts doing is he starts getting into a shoving match with the referee. When the ref shoves him back, people love that. That's a spot. He you know how Triple H always talks about how he like loved Ric Flair and stuff like that, right?
Mm.
That's something he learned from watching Ric Flair. Because if real Ric Flair would do this, if he's having a match with somebody and there's like the crowd is like super disinterested, you'll notice Ric Flair will do that with the referee to get the crowd back engaged. Like he'll shove with the referee and the referee shove him to the count again. And Triple H is doing that here, which is great. As I said, that's a good. He's a student of the game.
He is the game.
Yeah, Mark Merrill starts fighting back with some really good offense. But this time, Triple H Hunter shoves the referee into the ropes, which causes Mark Merrill to fall off the top turnbuckle. Um, Mark Merrill, however, is able to fight back, and he hits the Merrill Salt, which is his really good-looking top rope moonsault. But then he also accidentally hits the referee, and the referee's down, and Mark Merrill keeps fighting, but then Goldust comes out, and he attacks both Merrill and Hunter with the Intercontinental Championship belt, while everyone's on the floor, not in the ring. The ref kind of starts getting up. He missed all that, and he starts doing the count out, but Hunter gets back in the ring. I'm sorry, Mark Merrill gets back in the ring, but Hunter doesn't. So Mark Merrill wins by count out, but he does not win the title. This pisses off Mark Merrill because he wanted to win the Intercontinental Championship. So he takes Triple H, throws him back into the ring, and hits his wild thing shooting star press that pops the crowd, and he leaves with the title, even though he is not the champion. Goldust comes back out, and as Hunter is leaving, Goldust attacks him in the aisle because Hunter, even though Hunter's they're both kind of bad guys, Hunter's been I think interacting with Marlena, and Goldust does not like that. I thought this was a good match too. I gave it a B minus. Not bad.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It gets the job done. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about the show. The show didn't really grip me, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not a gripping show, but like so far up to this point, the matches are not bad. You know, they're just like, yeah, they're not great. They're not great
It's a
either. They're
fun
just
show.
yeah. If you're watching this, you're like, all right, this is passable. You know, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's going to be all downhill from here. Doc Hendricks, he is with Psycho Sid, the champion. They're recapping. Hey, you know what happened with Shawn Michaels? He attacked earlier. Like so. Sid was coming into the arena when he was arriving. Shawn Michaels attacked him, and officials were coming to kind of like pull apart. And Bret was also there. And then after the pull apart, Sid attacks Bret from behind.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Hendricks is like, why'd you do that? He was trying to help you. And Sid's like, don't ever put your nose in my business, Bret. And he goes, Shawn Michaels, here's it. This is it. It's simple. Shawn Michaels beat you, Bret, and I beat Shawn Michaels. Think about it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, right? I beat the guy who beat you up. What does that say? And I was like, yeah, I like Sid's promo. Sid's I like Sid shit, man. He was the man. You know?
Sid just cuts to the chase. He's not here to do work shoot promos, you know?
Yeah. He's just like, you know why you like people like Sid? He's just like I'm a fuck you up kind of guy. Like it's very simple. It's very basic, you know, and it's good stuff, you know. That's all you want.
That's all you want, Oos.
Before we can get to that, we got to go through our penultimate match. This is called an Armageddon Rules match. That's what it's billed at, but it's basically a last man standing. Basically, whoever gets up if you're down for a 10 count, you lose, right? Last man standing. And it is the Executioner, Terry Gordy, under a hood with Paul Bear versus Undertaker. So something everybody needs to know. Terry Gordy, what happened was he was drugged up while he was in Japan, and he kind of went into a coma, and he was like brain dead for a bit. There wasn't like oxygen going to his brain. So after they were able to like wake him up, keep him from dying, but he had brain damage. Like he had noticeable brain damage from that coma where he was like slower. So this match is taking place after that. So he has this brain damage. And it's important to note this because this is not a good match.
The tale of Terry Gordy, I think if you like, hey, don't do drugs, and someone's like, you do drugs, it's actually not that bad. You just show them this match. You show them a match from the 80s, and then you show them this. Like, from like no 92 to today because he was still having good matches and Bill
Yeah,
Watts still.
yeah. You don't even have to go into the 80s. You can go into early 90s. You're right. It wasn't that long ago that he was having good matches still. Yeah.
What a bad reaction to drugs can do. So you want to do
Yeah.
drugs? This guy again, another guy. He should be with Michael Hayes, and I'm sure Michael Hayes will love it. He should be booking with Michael Hayes. And Michael Hayes should be in that booking office, being like, "Yeah, let's go molest Liv Morgan, do." You know,
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, this is not it. This is not a good Terry Gordy. He's very slow. Undertaker's beating on him, but he's just very slow in the ring. Terry Gordy, the executioner, is slow. I mean, Paul Bear. It's so bad. Paul Bear has to kind of get involved, right? Paul Bear hits Undertaker with the urn for Terry Gordy to get some offense in, but it's very short lived. And Undertaker, he exposes the ring mats on the floor, and he goes to Tombstone, the executioner, on the exposed concrete. Mankind is supposed to like run in and like attack from behind, but as he's running, he trips over the mats and he falls really hard. And
that
that was like the best part of this match, in my opinion.
was great.
So now Mankind and Terry Gordy, they both beat on Undertaker, and Undertaker beats on both of them all the way to the stage area and In Your House. He sends Mankind through the In Your House window, the setup, and the door, and then they come back through the door. That's kind of cool visually. Then they beat on, but you know it's 2 against 1, so they keep beating on Undertaker to the ring. They go back to the ring. Now security guys come out and they spray Mankind in the face with mace, and they put like they start putting a straitjacket on him. And Gorilla Monsoon comes out and he's like, "Yeah, get this guy. He's not involved in this match. Get him out of here." While this is happening, Terry, the Executioner and Undertaker, they start fighting all the way to the outside. Right? They go to outside and they go to the arena fountain. There's like an arena fountain there, and um, what do you call it? This whole scene was kind of bad because when Undertaker and Terry Gordy are fighting the arena, like ex- Undertaker is chasing the executioner. But you know what? A part where they showed the scene where they're going up the stairs, like Terry Gordy is taking his sweet ass time, just slowly walking up the steps, and Undertaker has to like he has to like act like he can't catch him, like catch up to him. It looks just really bad. Um, they do this thing where Terry Gordy like he slides down like the slanted wall and he falls into the water in the fountain. They come back. Terry Gordy's all wet. What do you call it? Undertaker beats on Mankind some more, and then he picks up Terry Gordy and hits him with a tombstone, and he covers him for a pin, and then after that, the referee does the 10 count. Terry Gordy doesn't get up, so Undertaker wins. A D. This is terrible. This is I feel bad. I felt bad watching this shit, dude.
Fucking all Terry Gordy had to do was have an okay match. Probably would have had a job for life. Probably would even still be there if he was alive. I mean, as a corpse would have been awkward. All
Yeah,
he
yeah, you're right. Yeah, he just couldn't
match.
do it.
Undertaker wants this guy to have a good match. I'm sure this is one of the guys that he looked up to when he was a young Taker. And it's like at a certain point, I mean, I found it sometimes with the Comedy Village. I want you to succeed. You can mess up a lot, and you're still going to succeed. But you mess up so much, it's like I can't help you, and that's what happened here. Very sad ending to what was once one of the most promising careers in North America. I heard Joey Janela was in the crowd and gave him drugs before he went out there. That's why he was there.
Yeah, so like this is different than like the World War III Battle Royal match, right? The
Yeah,
reason why that one is so bad is because they produced it so poorly. Like whoever was in charge of setting it up did such a terrible job of setting it up. The idea was bad, all that. That's why it's bad. This one is bad because it's like the guy can't help it. Bray has brain damage, right? And that's why it's sad. It's like, oh man, like if this guy,
Could move, it would have been okay, but he
yeah,
can't.
exactly. If he could work, if he could move and stuff, like this wouldn't have been terrible. But it just was like, man, he just didn't have it. And you're right. You're watching somebody who had so much promise be so bad, and it's sad to watch. It's hard to watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely would not recommend watching that match at all.
yeah. No.
Unless you want to know why drugs are bad.
They should go and you know how they have like people come to schools and say kids don't do drugs? Just show some Terry Gordy matches.
You know what they should do? At NXT, the Performance Center, they should show back-to-back Terry Gordy matches.
I wouldn't be
Because
surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if they've done that. I could see
yeah,
that
because
Michael Hayes' idea.
yeah, because I know that you know how like Velveteen Dream, he went once he got fired, he went on this rant about how they everyone does cocaine down there and everything. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So you know they're in Florida, dude. You know they're partying and they're doing drugs. I would show them a 1992 Terry Gordy video, and then I would show them this match and be like, guys, you have the chance to make so much money. Don't do drugs. This could end up like you. Like
Yeah.
I would show them. I would just show them both. I would just be like, this is the comparison. This is what can happen. Don't do fucking drugs. You know?
Don't do it, Jasmine.
Yeah, don't do it, Jasmine. Doc Hendricks, he's with Bret Hart, and they recap Sid attacking him earlier in the day, and Bret starts cutting a promo, but it's cut off by Shawn Michaels' music. And Bret's like, what? Why is Shawn Michaels' music playing? What the hell is this? He's all annoyed. Shawn Michaels comes out. He's dressed in all black, and he joins the commentary team, and he starts taking shots at Bret Hart. And he starts making fun of Sid too. He says, he calls Sid, like, you know what Sid's nickname is? It's Luggage. We call him Luggage because guys like me have to carry him around in a match. So still doing that thing. We're fully into that thing where they're blurring the lines of shoot and work, right?
Yeah, my problem with this is that like my problem with this is Shawn Michaels' character is basically saying like Sid's a shitty worker, like
Yeah. He's saying that he's a shitty worker, yeah.
and that is just so like to me counterproductive to what the goal should be in terms of Sid. Because it's like he's luggage, they're gonna carry him around and da da da. Yeah, we know. Like if we're a smart fan, we know you're good, Shawn. Like we know it. We got the memo, right? You know, I don't need you to do this thing where you bury Sid, like to like basically, oh, he sucks. Well, if he sucks so bad, why did he be? You know, if he's so bad, then why he fucking kicked your ass? You know?
Yeah. No, and you know what? Here's 1996 as a kid. I don't know this shit. Like, why are you like this was not good stuff. You know how everyone blames Vince Russo for doing shit like this? Shawn Michaels should be blamed for the same shit. This is not I agree with you. Saying that he's calling him luggage that everyone has to carry him out is not good look. It's not a good look for anybody, especially if this guy is the champion of the company, right?
Yeah.
Because if he's champion, what the fuck is it saying about you? You know, I
Then
agree.
the other thing, really quick. So I have a theory about what was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 13 original. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, and it came to be so when I caught up, I knew that something happened with her. I knew about the Montreal Screwjob when I got back into wrestling, right? And I remember watching WrestleMania 13, and they're going on and on about how Bret Hart always complains he's screwed. They're kind of shitting on him, especially Vince McMahon's a little critical of him. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then I'm watching this match, and they're going on and on and on about Bret Hart's a whiner, Bret Hart's this. That's not his character up until this show. Like, no one's ever called this guy a whiner, and he can't take a loss. That was never mentioned. That was never a thing about him. This is my theory about WrestleMania 13. So the plan was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart 2 again, right? That was the original plan.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Bret Hart believes he was supposed to win. Like, and then they'd have a third match, and then Shawn would win, right?
This is what Bret Hart does mention many times, even in his book, I believe. Yes.
Believes that was supposed to be what happens. I think that there was a different finish in mind. And I don't know if Bret Hart has kept this out. I don't know if Vince McMahon ever brought this up to Bret Hart, but here is my theory of what the finish of WrestleMania 13 was supposed to be. I think Vince was going to do the screw job at WrestleMania 13, and then Bret would turn heel. I think they were going to do Ring the fucking Bell at WrestleMania 13 to carry on that Bret's always getting screwed. Like Shawn was going to win by like some weird screw job. I think that they already had that in mind.
So you think the Montreal Screwjob was a work?
No, I think Vince had that finish in mind for the finish Russell. So obviously, in this where they are, they're going to keep Bret, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
going they don't know they're going to get rid of Bret. I think the big finish for 13 was Bret gets screwed out of the match, and then that causes Bret to reunite with Davey and Owen and start the Hart Foundation.
So you're okay. So what you're saying, your theory is that for WrestleMania 13, if they were going to do Bret versus Shawn Michaels again, it was going to be a worked screw job. Like
Yes, it was
we're gonna
to
fake a yeah, we're gonna fake a screw job, which leads to Bret forming the Hart Foundation with his family and being heels. I see.
Shawn, whoever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's not a bad theory. Yeah, that makes sense.
because the original plan. This is what's going on in the saga. So we got Shawn, Bret's a whiner, Bret's a whiner, Bret's a whiner. That's what they're putting out into the world, right? Shawn,
Yeah, that's what they're. That's not just Shawn Michaels saying it. They're also showing it on the shows. Yeah.
yeah, but establish that Bret's a fucking whiny little bitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bret, the plan is Shawn, Shawn beats Sid for the belt at Royal Rumble. But then on Thursday, Raw Thursday, Shawn's going to drop the belt again to Sid. And then Sid was going to drop the belt to Bret Hart, right? That doesn't happen because Shawn Michaels loses his smile. So then Bret has to get the belt, then lose it to Sid, and then they're like, "Fuck it, we'll just have Sid and Undertaker because I can trust Undertaker. He's not whatever, we can trust Undertaker, so he gets the belt." But I think that the plan was for Shawn to win a second time under dubious means. And I think Vince hadn't crossed that roads with them. But I think the reason why they even came up with the Montreal screw job is Vince had it in his mind, we're gonna screw Bret. Someone's gonna screw Bret, and that will cause him to go off the deep end as a character. But he's still gonna be around. I'm not gonna get rid of him. And I think they always had that in mind because they're going on and on about him,
Yeah. Well, I would say. And then what? The problems between Bret and Shawn changed all that. Like the real life problems between them changed all that. Is that what happened? Okay.
When he realized that Bret wasn't going to play ball, I think if Bret was like, "I'll do whatever,"
It wasn't Bret that wasn't playing ball. It was Shawn Michaels that wasn't playing ball.
I understand that, but Bret didn't want to lose to Shawn. But I think if Bret said to
Bret already lost to Shawn,
but he didn't want to lose in his final match. But what I'm saying to you, Andrew, listen,
No. What I'm saying is, if they were going for Bret, Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania, the second one, right?
Yeah.
This is way before the screw job actually happens. What the problem that changed all that was because of their real life problems, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, right?
No, because Shawn Michaels faked an injury.
Yeah, but why did Shawn Michaels do that? Because he didn't want to lose to Bret.
I don't think he wanted to lose to Sid either.
Yeah, so that shows that Shawn Michaels is the one who didn't want to play ball. That's what I'm saying.
He told Shawn
Michaels he was the asshole. He's the one who fucked everything over.
What I'm saying to you though, let's table that, then we'll finish this match. I think if Bret Hart, okay, I'm leaving your WCW. Okay, I want you to lose to Shawn, and Bret Hart goes, "That's great. I'll do any finish you want to lose to Shawn." I think Vince still suggested the screw job.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's I mean, at the end of the day, Shawn Michaels was still the problem that started all this.
Oh yeah. We
Yeah.
have, let me tell you something, 97 is a very fun year to go through because we will have more to say. Like, but right now I'm just thinking to myself, they know they have WrestleMania coming up. They know no one gives a fuck about this company. You got to do a hot angle at WrestleMania to get interest back up. And he doesn't see Steve Austin as the savior, which he was. So to me, it's like you got to do something interesting. You can't just have, dude. If they went with Bret and Shawn again, no disrespect to Bret Hart, that match, that no one would have gave a shit. You
Yeah,
have
no,
to.
no. If they did that match again, nobody would have gave a shit. They really wouldn't have. I'm a Bret Hart fan, and I'm saying this. I
Yeah,
will
that's
say
why it should have to be something crazy to get people like, oh, what's going on?
if Vince Jr. ever runs out of money, he should like charge to do like these full shoot interviews,
He
right?
should just anyway. He just do it.
Yeah,
He just do it anyway and reveal stuff like this that would like
yeah.
fucking
If
people
you're
heart.
listening, Vince Jr., if you want to stay relevant in wrestling and wrestling doesn't want you anymore, this is how you stay relevant. You do these shoot videos like Eddie Gilbert, and you'll get back in. Trust me. Because
Let's
can you
keep
imagine?
talking.
You go, all right, let's start with the Brent Shawn Michaels. Tell us what the original plan was, right? Just get into it.
Yeah.
Just start with that one. But let's go into this final match. We're not getting Brett versus Shawn, but we are getting Brett versus Sid for the WWF title. Sid is the champion, and Brett attacks Sid right from behind, but Sid is much bigger than him, so he just beats on Brett. Sid exposes the floor mats, but Bret Hart rams Sid into the ring post a bunch of times and then works on Sid's back area. Shawn Michaels is on commentary, and I don't think these two have these terrible problems just yet because Shawn Michaels is very complimentary of Bret's work. He's like, Bret's fantastic. He's like the best. That's why he's one of the best. Like he's like saying all this shit.
Big Show
Um,
Michael is on drugs again during this.
I don't. I do when he came out, he did not look good. Like
No.
something looked. Yeah, yeah. His face looks a little off. Like his eyes look like they're not all there. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's like buzzed or something. He's not completely fucked up, but like he's not like all there. I agree. Something is off. Yeah.
We're enjoying a little nose candy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sid starts firing back, and then Steve Austin comes out and he chop blocks Brett's left leg on the floor. And then Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart comes out, not because they like Bret Hart, but because they hate Austin and they fight off Steve Austin. But this is a little precursor to that group coming in, which does lend actually to your theory that if
Mhm.
that was the original plan, these guys they were always supposed to get Davey, Owen, and Bret together, right?
Mhm.
So now that Bret's hurt, Sid starts uh, working and beating on Bret, and there's an exposed turnbuckle, and they try to do this spot where Bret gets like hit into the exposed turnbuckle, but they fuck it up the first time, so they do it again, and and I was like, oh. This is very rare that you see this in a Bret Hart match where they fuck up a spot and they have to redo it right afterwards. And it
Mhm.
looks because it happens so rarely for Bret, when you see it happen for Bret, it's worse than when you see it for like let's say Al Snow, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sid choke slams Bret Hart, but only gets a 2 count. Then they both go over the top rope to the floor by Shawn Michaels. Bret takes Shawn Michaels' chair, but Sid stops Bret from using it, and then he faces off against Shawn Michaels, and he just pie faces Shawn Michaels, who gets all mad, and then he gets back on the apron when they're in the ring, and then Bret Hart is like, "What are you doing on the fucking apron, man? Get back down." And Sid fucking hits Bret, and Bret and Shawn Michaels they bonk heads. Shawn Michaels goes flying off the apron and falls into a chair. Sid
Mhm.
takes Bret Hart, power bombs him to pin him and win the match. Bret has a bloody nose, I think, from the bonk, and he gets mad and he goes outside and he starts beating up on Shawn Michaels. And then he leaves. Shawn Michaels gets up and he looks pissed off, like legit pissed off. And I don't know if when they did this, Bret maybe did punch him for real by accident, but Shawn Michaels is noticeably pissed off because as he's leaving, a fan says something to him and he almost fucking punches the fan. You see him fucking like.
So here was the thing that Bret and Shawn agreed on. That they wanted people to believe that they actually do not like each other.
Yes.
They were going to. That's why Bret leaves the ring, and that's why Shawn says, "Get him the fuck out of my ring," because they wanted people to believe. I know it's fake, but these two don't like each other. So I do think that Bret going like I mean, Shawn goes, I'm gonna go punch the fan. I do think that was to build to the match. Like, wait a minute, like these two like really annoy each other. Like it's not something happened at 12, and then it became real. They worked themselves into a shoot, brother. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But also, I also think I think Shawn's got a lot of emotional problems. I think Shawn Michaels, have you heard like Stevie Richards talk about Shawn on his podcast?
No, what does he say?
It's just a story about his friend is like a Christian. He was friendly with Shawn Michaels, and his friend is like a Christian rock guy. And he said, I don't know if anyone listens to Christian music, but maybe you could hand my CDs to some of the wrestlers. So he goes, there's some wrestlers who listen to Christian music. I gave it to them. They were like, oh, yeah, thanks. I'll listen to it. And somebody, I forget who, like some mid-carder was like, oh, I listened in the car. Your friend's pretty good. So he goes up to Shawn Michaels and he's like, hey, I know like you go to church and you're really Christian and da-da-da. There's a CD, my friend's CD, if you want to listen to it. And Shawn Michaels goes, let me ask you a question. Do you think like handing this CD around makes you a good Christian? And Stevie Richards like, and Shawn Michaels like, I don't want this, and threw it at him. And then he never spoke to Steve Richards again.
Wow, that sounds like a Shawn Michaels story. Yeah.
Just well, I think he's him and Hunter are too. The day is coming. The day is coming. I remember. I always think back to what Julie Hart said in Wrestling with Shadows Triple H. One day, you swear to God all you want. One day, God's going to strike you down. And I still say that day is coming. That day is coming.
I hope so, brother, because I don't like Shawn Michaels. I don't like Triple H. And after this, Shawn Michaels gets back on the headset and he starts threatening Bret Hart. And that's how the show will end. As far as match goes, I gave this a C. Bret Hart and Sid do not have chemistry. They just are not good together. This was not a good match.
No, it was what it was. But I'll tell you, man, Jim Ross does the voice he only uses when Vince tells him make this guy a big deal. Jim Ross gets very excited that our best friend Sid won and beat Bret and Shawn. So at this moment in time, I think they're like, we're ready for Sid to go to the next level. It all goes to hell because of your hero Shawn Michaels, but they definitely are like, it's not a fluke that this guy is beating Bret and Shawn back to back. Like this guy is making a statement that he is the man. And,
yeah, the company is making a statement that he is the man.
And they make another statement, fired. So
yeah. All right. Overall, I would say don't watch this pay-per-view. It's a waste of time, kind of.
Let's go over the next 4 weeks. Next week, we have Starrcade 96, the real. I will say 96 and 97 are the 2 years where WCW made Starrcade more important than WrestleMania. And you can just tell by those numbers that the fans believed it, and then they fucked it all up. If Starrcade 97 had a good finish, I think people would be partying Starrcade weekend, not WrestleMania weekend. Anyway, Starrcade 96, Hogan versus Piper. That's next week. It's a very important Starrcade. Biggest show of 96, believe it or not. Money. In 2 weeks, Royal Rumble 97, Shawn Michaels versus Sid. In 3 weeks, NWO Sold Out. The NWO's first and only pay-per-view. Hulk Hogan versus the Giant. And then in 4 weeks, in your house, Final Four, it's Bret Hart versus Steve Austin versus Undertaker versus Vader. What are you excited about?
Royal Rumble. I mean, I'm always a big Royal Rumble fan. What about you?
Starrcade and Royal Rumble. I've heard Starrcade's a very good show. I've heard a lot of great things. Jushin Liger takes on Rey Mysterio. Dean Malenko takes on Ultimo Dragon. Sting makes an appearance that people go nuts for. So I'm really excited for that show. But the Royal Rumble, It's an interesting Royal Rumble. And it's pretty good actually. It's way better than this show. But have you seen the '97 Rumble?
No, these 97 96 pay-per-views, I'm watching almost all of them for the first time.
Oh,
All
I've seen a '97 Rumble before, and I enjoy it. It's a good one.
I grew up poor, man. I couldn't afford a single pay-per-view.
Well, I used to, dude. By New York Comedy Club, all these places are gone. But like 14th Street and downtown, there was a store called Record Explosion, and in '98 they started selling used Coliseum videos for like really cheap. So I got all of these pay per views. This is when I got back into wrestling. I was able to buy most of these pay per views there, and I had them, and I only spent like $8, $9 on them.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I didn't think. I mean, I didn't have a place like that in my area. So
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I would go and like, because I was like, oh man, no. When I got back into wrestling, I bought VHS tapes. I'm like, man, no one, you can't really buy wrestling VHS tapes. And then suddenly they all showed up at these used VHS stores, and I was like, all right, let's fucking go. You know. All
all
right,
right,
Us. That's the show. Thank you guys for listening. GCW, don't kill the Sandman. All right, come on, show some respect. We'll see you next week for Starcade '96, Daddy. Talk to you then.
bye.